families across Georgia, it's not about politics. It's about building a better future. That's why conservatives in the Georgia House are delivering on affordability, cutting taxes, lowering costs, reducing insurance rates, fighting to eliminate the homestead property tax, and making home ownership possible for more Georgians. Georgia House conservatives are laser focused on making life more affordable to keep Georgia the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we are going to be talking a lot over the next few weeks about the legislative session. We'll start again tomorrow talking to Tony West from Americans for Prosperity every week to talk about what's going on under the Gold Dome. And I tell you what, if you want to get involved in a grassroots organization and you're not sure about which one to get involved in, of course, I will always tell you to be involved with your local party organization or your local women's group, or I'm a Rotarian or a Kiwanian or something like that. But if you want to get involved in a political organization that really gets stuff done, go to Americans for Prosperity, because they are nonpartisan, but they're conservative and they're free marketers. And there aren't too many people out there like that anymore. So I would say to you, do that if you want to find a place to volunteer. Joining me right now for this first segment is Shannon Davidson, and he is running for county commission, but he's also been on the planning commission. And so there was been a lot that went on at the end of the year related to the planning commission, and we just thought it'd be a great time to have him come back in and just kind of update people on where we are and what happened. Thank you, Shannon, for being here today.
Thank you, Martha. I appreciate you letting me come on and talk with you today.
So just give us an update of what happened and then where we are right now.
I guess about 4 months ago or so, we had some issues with the county where some allegations were made with 3 of the county commissioners maybe violating the Open Meeting Act. During that time, some internal investigations were done. We had a third-party investigation that actually proved that, but then they decided to go on and have a hearing, to have their due process. We went through that process. We had the hearing. And then last Thursday, the county commissioners had the opportunity to decide what to do with those commissioners, and they decided to let those guys go. And now we're in a process where it's time to move forward. The county's struggled with this for a while. This has been a 4-month drag that has cost the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. I don't really like that. That's been a concern of mine, because I feel like this could have been handled a lot faster and a lot better. But now it's behind us and it's time to move forward.
And, it's interesting because as a result of this, I cannot tell you how many calls I'm getting from Flowery Branch, from Lula, people that live in Flowery Branch and Lula and places like that, some of the cities, Oakwood, where they are thinking the same kind of things are going on in their city structures also. I had a meeting yesterday with someone who was very concerned about what's going on in Flowery Branch, which I'm going to be taking a look into to kind of dig more into it, because you never know from the first meeting you have if what they're saying is really a problem or if there's a legitimate explanation for it, and that's what you want to find out. But I always say to people, we spend so much time, and I'm as guilty as anyone else, talking about the federal and the state government, that the government that's right here in our neighborhood, where we can see you, we can touch you, we can talk to you, we don't know as much about.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I run into a lot of people, and they say, what's the county commissioner? And what's the district? And how many are there? And what does that mean? And are you running for the East Hall area? Or so you have to educate people, and I really encourage people when we have those meetings to come out and do what you just said. Introduce yourself to these commissioners. That's their job. They're elected. You need to be able to approach those people, and that's something that I want to be able to do if I have the ability to win this seat, is to be transparent, open to the public. I have a phone that I use now for my campaign. People are available to call me at any time. I will ask whatever question I can. If I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer. And, we talk about transparency a lot, and I believe that it's important that we really put that in place. And what we have to do now, where we are with the local government, is I feel like that in Hall County that the citizens have lost the trust of their local government. And we need to get that back. that is something that's going to take a little bit of time. And I believe that it can be done. And I believe at this point now we're on the right track to do it. But we want the people to come out. We want the people to contact us, like you said, reach out, touch, call. Let's have coffee. Let's see what issues that we can, discuss together and see if we can solve these problems.
Now, you're still on the Planning Commission.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are running for Greg Poole's, or not Greg Poole's seat, but the seat that is being
Yes,
vacated
ma'am,
by
that's
Greg
correct.
Poole because he's running for Congress. As you're traveling around, and just so people know that I know it gets confusing because in the county, you vote for your individual county commissioner. You also vote for, then you have one at-large person, and these are staggered as far as how you vote on them. But I know that in the city, we just had city elections where the entire city voted for a particular city council seat. So it gets confusing for people.
Yes, it does.
About how they should vote because they hear one thing and then they hear something else. So what are you hearing as you travel around the district that currently Greg Poole is representing, but has been represented in the past by a number of other people?
Well, I guess concerns that I hear is obviously infrastructure, and how do we fix that? And I tell people, at this point now, what we have to do is yes, we probably can do a few things with developments that's been done with, maybe roundabouts or smaller things like that, but it's moving forward from now and trying to put that infrastructure together because traffic is such an issue.
Yeah,
with
that's
people
the
right
number
now.
one thing I hear. Anywhere I go, anytime I
agree.
go, any group of people I talk to, it's the traffic in
Right,
the
and
area.
exactly. So as we move forward and we have good quality growth, which is part of my platform. We have to have growth. We just have, you need to be smart about how you do it. Some things just don't fit. And when we do those things and we do vote on these things and pass these things, the infrastructure needs to come before it, not after it, because we can't fix it then. Or if we do try to fix it, it's not as easy to do, and it causes more trouble.
So you also, if you win this seat, you'll be representing a largely rural area.
Yes, ma'am.
It's growing fast. It still has the 1 acre minimum in most every place throughout. I think every place in your district has the 1 acre minimum.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
There is a lot of talk about affordability, though, and a lot of talk about first-time home buyers and how do they do that. So how do we kind of mesh that? Because I live in your district, the one that you want to represent, and I live on one of those kind of undeveloped roads. People know, they know me. I live on Rilla Road. I don't mind telling people that, and we have kind of a mixed bag on Rilla Road. Everybody's got more than an acre, but it's not a neighborhood in the traditional sense. So you've
Right.
got traditional homes, you've got trailers on the end of the street, you've got, just a mixed bag of things, and it works out fine because everybody's got acreage. We're not anybody's business. It works out fine. We're all on we're all on, that kind of thing. But what do you see as the biggest challenges for this area? Because Hall County is going to continue to grow, and it's got to grow into these areas that are less densely populated. So how do you manage that?
I think if we can keep some of this high density down, like I said, we do have to grow. We don't. I personally just don't want to see things just stacked in there. 500-600 homes that are $450,000 starter homes, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And a lot of people don't understand kind of how that works. Being on the planning board, I've noticed when people come through with applications, they'll pass this and it'll go through. And this individual who gets this application passed, he turns around and sells this project. When he sells that project, let's just say it's $500,000, $1 million, whatever. That's before any ground's even broken. So at this point now, we're already bumping all those things up, and with this high density like that can cause some serious issues, especially for the young people in the generation. They don't. How can you go out and get a starter home at $450,000? But I think the growth. I like to see some larger lots. With homes, some space. I ask a lot of young kids, what's quality of life for you? And they go, I want to have a yard. And a lot of these things they're not going to be able to do that. So I think that's one of my biggest concerns as we grow in District 3. We have to grow properly. It's going to happen, but we need this high density to slow down a little bit, step back, take a look at it, and accept it properly when it comes and make the right decision at that time.
And I think your point about having the infrastructure out before the development comes is the biggest challenge. We were laughing with some friends of ours because, I think the only road in Georgia that was actually built before we needed it was Georgia 400, because, my husband and I are old enough that we can remember when it was built, and it was literally like a racetrack all the time. It was a road. I mean, it was a rural road, really. It was a highway that went through a rural area is what it was,
Right.
And so it actually way came before the development that came out
Correct.
there. And of course now it's very busy everywhere, and anybody that invested in any property along Georgia 400 did really, really well. We saw that out here 365 also, that it was a long time before the development got out there. But I don't think we got that luxury in North and East Hall,
No,
which
I
is
don't believe
District
so.
3. I think it's coming, and we've got to make sure we're ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be disastrous if we do not.
So, Shannon, if people want to know more, how can they find out?
You can go to davidsonforga.com. We're there. There is a phone number there, and they can call that line anytime. Reach out to us. We're on all social media, Facebook, Instagram. And maybe when the planning board gets back together, they can come see me on those Monday nights. But that is to be determined when that will happen. So we're looking forward to the future, excited about the opportunity to run for District 3. I've been in Hall County for 51 years of my life. My birthday's in March, so I'm going to go ahead and make myself a little older. But I've lived in District 3 my entire life, and it's important to me. And I think we spoke before. I lived in North Hall now, and I've lived in East Hall. So, the people of Hall County are important. The people of District 3 are very important. It's a special place to me, and I want to make sure as we look down the road 15 to 20 years from now that we're actually thinking about the future and the kids that are coming up behind us.
Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a break. We'll be back.
Keeping you up to date with the latest news and weather is what we do every day.
It's the news I trust.
North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their customer assurance maintenance plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
Great Chevy vehicles and excellent customer service. Those were the cornerstones that Charles and Jeanette Hardy built Hardy Chevrolet on in 1982, and that hasn't changed. This is Mike Cormier inviting you to Hardy Chevrolet. Come see how enjoyable car shopping can be. From our sales team to our service department, we're all about customer service. Like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, North Georgia Community Foundation announces a legacy gift of millions from a local couple to a dozen different organizations. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, I'm State Representative Esther Panich, and I'm running for re-election for House District 51. I led the Democrats in the IVF protection bill, protecting the right of Georgia families to build their futures. I co-sponsored the fight to pass the anti-Semitism definition bill, closing a dangerous gap in our hate crimes protections. I fight for what matters, and I have delivered results for District 51.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show, and we're in that place, right, where we're back in the legislative session, and we are having things going on under the Gold Dome every day. This afternoon, the Senate is getting out there and having a press conference about what their priorities are. And what, you can't separate the politics from politics, right? Because you've got the lieutenant governor who's running for governor. You've got 3 or 4 or 5 state senators that are running for higher office, either for his office, the lieutenant governor's office, or other things, attorney general, things like that. So we've got a lot of work that's going to be going on that's going to be couched in the final session for Governor Kemp, as well as the final session for a large number of these folks, because they're running for higher office and they can't all win. So it'll be a very interesting session. Let's go to the phones at 770-535-2911 and talk to Joe in Ellijay. Hey, Joe.
Martha, great show as always. I just want to comment that when Ronald Wilson Reagan was president, the market was $1,000, 1,000. Today, and then this week, it'll probably hit 50,000. And so that means the market's gone from 1,000 to 50,000 in a period of about nearly 40 years. My prediction is that the Dow will double to 100,000 in the next 4 years under Trump, because in my opinion, we're in investor heaven. I've never seen everything lining up. The stars are aligned. We have a great president, a pro-business Congress. So I think happy days are here again. And I think the market, the Dow, which is just about to hit 50,000, probably will hit it today or tomorrow. I predict it will double in the next 4 or really 3 years with Trump as president, because I think we're in investor heaven. And keep up the great job you're doing, my dear.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I don't know if it's going to go from 50,000 to 100,000 in 4 years. I mean, that would be surprising to me. I'd be happy about it, but what goes up must come down. Okay. And so we need to always have the best growth we can have, but also kind of temper that growth. And I'm trying to dig into a few stories right now because there's so much going on. Obviously, I love what the president is doing related to negotiating and in Ukraine and Russia. Even though it's not going the way he would like it to go, I'm seeing a lot of growth in that area, and the ability to understand that maybe he did underestimate Vladimir Putin, and that we've got to go a different route there. I love what he's doing in Venezuela. I keep reading these stories about a lawsuit against Jerome Powell, which I don't know how productive that is. I do think that the president is using the Justice Department in a way that he should not be, related to some of these things that people want their pound of flesh on. And I just think that it's because, I'm not saying that we shouldn't go after criminals. We absolutely should go after criminals. We should go after people. But I want to focus on the drug traffickers and the sex traffickers and the human traffickers. A bunch of white-collar crime is not necessarily what I want to see us focusing on. Now, some people would say, oh, yeah, but Martha, that Somalia thing going on in Minnesota is white-collar crime. Yeah, it largely is, but the money went in large part to terrorist organizations, which is not white-collar crime. Okay, that's real crime, and that is terrorism. So to me, that Somali thing and other kinds of corruption like that, when we're allowing money that is U.S. taxpayer money to go overseas to fund terrorism, that's a different ball game than just whether you built a building appropriately and spent money appropriately. I mean, if you're going to start suing every person that wasted American taxpayer money on a building, then we got a really, really long list to go. And I don't know if it's going to be that productive. The more important thing would be to fix the systems and the policies so that it doesn't happen again. And it goes back to, one, Congress, and this is going to sound counterproductive, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Congress has given up too much power to the executive. And they've done that by how they've drawn these bills up with all this kind of nebulous language that gives the departments all the power to determine how the money is spent. And I think Congress needs to take some of its power of the purse back. And I say that whether Democrats are in control or Republicans are in control, that the Congress's responsibility, I'm a constitutionalist first, before I'm a Democrat or a Republican, the Congress's responsibility is to say how that money is supposed to be spent. Now, you should give some flexibility to the secretaries that if they've got a pile of money over here and they need it over there, there ought to be an ability to be able to move that around. But they shouldn't be able to be sending taxpayer money off to people that shouldn't be getting it. So all I'm hoping that we'll get, and my friend Eric Erickson calls it a return to normalcy. I don't know what normal is anymore. But what I do want is a return to common sense, where if it's white-collar crime where nobody was really hurt, let's change the policies that allowed that to happen so it doesn't happen again, because you're never going to get that money back, okay? It's once the money's spent, the money's spent. But spend the real focus on human trafficking, sex trafficking, illegal immigration, the things that are actually hurting working-class Americans. And that's the things we need to focus on. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
North Georgia Land Trust. Is that what they call it, Brent?
Count, that's it. 35 years of commercial real estate, but I've always wanted to start a new land trust for North Georgia, a place where landowners can create a legacy for their land.
Everybody, we got Brent Hoffman in the studio today, and golly, Pete, this is interesting.
Well, thank you.
And all they have to do is communicate with you, right?
Just maybe go to our website, northgeorgialandtrust.org. Easy to find my phone number. Love to talk to you if you'd like to set aside land for future generations.
Well, tell me how you met Electronic Sales Company.
Paul and I have been a customer of yours for 34 years. It makes my wife feel good, the fact that we have a monitored alarm system, and you guys have done truly a good job.
Hey, folks, and if you're looking for what Brent's been experiencing for 30-plus years, call us at 770-532-3334. Also, we can be found on the website electronicsalesco.com.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawlspace giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawlspace repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. Coming together on affordability. Liberal Senator Elizabeth Warren says after her Monday speech, President Trump picked up the phone and they talked about working together on his proposal to cap Credit card interest rates at 10%. The inflation reading is in 2.7% for the year. President Trump at the Detroit Economic Club today with more good news.
Today, the national average of gasoline is the lowest that it's been in 5 years.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, AAA says gas is down 24 cents a gallon from a year ago. The president keeping economic pressure on the failing Iranian regime as the exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi tells Fox it won't take U.S. boots on the ground.
And I think this is where the people on the streets are saying, look, we are the boots on the ground. We don't need any American boots on the ground. We are the boots on the ground.
2,000 protesters killed. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. And the Hall County Board of Education has approved a resolution to bring the 1-cent sales tax before voters this May. WDUN's William Daughtry explains.
The Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax funds various facility projects in the school district, including the construction of Sandra Dunnigan Deal and Everwood Elementary Schools. The 1-cent tax was previously approved by voters in 2022, but will be required to be renewed in 2026. The resolution will allow the East Bloss to be put before voters for approval in May. To learn more about the school district's East Bloss projects, visit Access WDUN.
Investigators with Gwinnett County Police have identified the victim and suspect from a fatal weekend shooting in Snellville Sunday morning. More from WDUN's Logan Landers.
Gwinnett police detectives early Tuesday morning identified the victim as 36-year-old Abel Alejandro Unzakur Chavez of Snellville. They also said 30-year-old Derek Devon Thomas of Snellville is the person allegedly behind Unzakur Chavez's shooting death along the 3800 block of Saddle Ridge Drive after 3 a.m.
Thomas is now charged with felony murder, aggravated assault, and additional charges. You'll find more news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN Tuesday forecast.
A very good Tuesday morning to you, North Georgia. We continue with mostly sunny skies. It is bright and beautiful. Low 60s for highs this afternoon. Clear skies this evening. Cloud cover increases tonight. Low 40s by early tomorrow morning. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Clayton, 36 degrees. Sugar Hill with 40, and in Gainesville, 39. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire & More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com, or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
On me as well as I look at this.
Well, Senator Amy Klobuchar, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Former federal prosecutor and CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig is here. Does this lawsuit have any chance of doing anything?
No, I don't think so. What they're asking, the state of Minnesota is asking a federal judge to throw ICE out of the state and to prohibit ICE from enforcing federal law in the state. There's simply no precedent for that. These lawsuits, Illinois and Minnesota both filed similar lawsuits, have no precedent cited in there. To do that would violate the Supremacy Clause, which says the states cannot block the feds from doing their federal duties. The one thing that...
So this is just a perfect example, welcome back to the Martha Zoller Show, of states trying to use federal law in order to break the law. And you can't do that. Okay, and I keep going back to I know that these protesters in these cities think they are like, you know, in the mold of the protesters of the civil rights movement, but they are not. Because in fact, they are on the side of the people that were barring the door of kids, keeping kids from getting into school because it was federal law that those kids should be able to go to that school. Okay? And they are on the wrong side of history here. Now, you may not like ICE. You may not like how they do things. You may believe all the crap you've heard about what they're doing. I tend to take a more balanced approach, meaning that I don't believe every good thing I hear, and I don't believe every bad thing I hear. Okay? I think that there are good things and bad things that are here that people are talking about. And I don't think that you can take everything on face value that you're hearing about this particular situation. But I can guarantee you that the state of Minnesota, in trying to sue the federal government in a federal court to try to remove ICE agents, it's just not going to happen. Now, they may get information that they want, but it's not going to happen. What we need to look at is the model more like what we have here in Georgia, where federal agencies work with local agencies. You know, at the beginning of the Trump administration, there was a lot of concern in the Hispanic community here about what was going to happen. And we had Norma Hernandez in here. We've had her in several times. If you haven't met her, you should meet her. She is head of the Latino Chamber of Commerce here. She's an amazing woman. She has done great things in this country. And she is a great capitalist, okay, and understands how business is run. And the Hispanic community here, by and large, is very much in that way. They don't want gangs here. They don't want sex traffickers here. They don't want any of that. They don't want labor traffickers here. They don't want human traffickers here. They are just like us in every way you can imagine. And she came on this program, and we have modeled through this behavior throughout this, that we haven't had the kinds of problems here that they've had in other communities where they were not working with ICE, because we have always worked with ICE. We have always worked with ICE. We've worked with the FBI. We've worked with other people that when someone comes into the county jail and they have a retainer or something with the federal government, whether it's an immigrant or it's just a person that has a problem with the federal government, we cooperate. And so because of that, these exchanges happen in a secure environment where people don't get hurt. Instead, because certain states, and I don't want to blame, blue states, red states, I don't even know what that means, okay? In San Francisco right now, they have a Democratic mayor that is fighting crime like anybody should be fighting crime. In Dallas and in Miami, they have Republican mayors that are fighting crime the way anybody should be fighting crime. Nobody wants crime in their city. You're surprised sometimes with the way they act, that they act like they want crime in their city, but you really should never want crime in your city. So these mostly blue states that have put in place these so-called sanctuary policies, where they have said, we are not going to work with ICE. We are not going to work with the FBI. We are not going to enforce laws where you can defer to a higher authority, which is what the federal government is. If someone's got a federal charge against somebody, that is a higher charge usually than a local charge. Now, sometimes local governments will choose to prosecute their charges first. And sometimes you have to defer to that. You see that in certain kinds of cases that happen in multiple states. But this idea that Minnesota can get a federal judge to tell federal agents not to enforce federal law is just kind of ridiculous. And it's really just a stalling tactic is what it is. What happened last Wednesday was a tragic event by anybody's view of it. And regardless of whether you live in the silo where you think that the ICE agent did nothing wrong, which is where I am, I think it was a split-second situation. I think a car is a weapon, and that he didn't know what else she had inside that car, because she was not cooperating with the order she was given by law enforcement. Or you live in the silo where you think that she was killed in cold blood. It is clear that she was not cooperating. And I shared my own story about this. You know, I was a 31-year-old young mother coming up 985. I got pulled over, and this was at a time where we had some troubles on 985 where people were impersonating police officers, pulling over women, and things were happening to them. As a result of that, we had 2 or 3 cases of that back then. I was in the car. I was with my baby was in the car seat, and I didn't want to get out of the car when the police officer it was a state trooper, approached my window. And I know this was irrational thinking on my part, but I was thinking, I don't really know if this guy is a police officer. I want to see his badge before, and I don't want to get out of my car while my baby's in the car. And we had a few words, and I'm a law-abiding person. Okay, I follow the rules. I stay within the lines. I work within the people. But I was being mama bear at that moment, and I wasn't 100% sure that my baby was going to be safe if I got out of the car because of some incidences that had happened before. Well, he had a few words with me too, gave me a warning, and I clarified with what followed up that I had done the wrong thing. I should have cooperated with him. He was a legitimate officer, but I had that unsureness in my brain. So that could have gotten out of control too. So it can happen to anyone. Okay, it can happen to anyone. But there were a number of decisions that were made in this case that could have been done differently. And to be fair, you're always going to err on the side of the police officer and the law enforcement officer because she would not comply with the orders that she was given. They didn't know what was inside her car. They didn't know what her plans were. Okay? And yes, I probably think she was probably just trying to get away from the situation because she realized she'd gone too far. And she paid the ultimate price for it. But that's why you don't interfere. You know, you can like or not like Kasim Reed as a mayor of Atlanta. He had a lot of problems. But one thing he did that was right is at the time of the Michael Brown protests, when people were blocking 75-85 connector, he walked out into that crowd and he said, you can protest on the sidewalks all day long, but if you block traffic, we're going to arrest you. And that seems like a very simple thing to follow. So I know we're going to see a lot of this. There were some protesters at the Capitol yesterday. It wasn't 4,000. Okay, they said they were going to be up to 4,000 protesters. It wasn't that. They didn't have any problems inside the building. So thankfully, you know, that went well as far as protesting goes. And really, down at the Capitol from now until we get through the session, they're going to be protests every single day. And today, the Senate's going to say what their priorities are. And we're going to spend a lot of the rest of the program talking about health care. At the top of the hour, we're going to be talking to Matt Hanley, who's the CEO of Northeast Georgia Health System. So we're going to be keeping it local there and talking about what's happening. And I'll try to see if I can get some ideas from him on what he thinks about some of the things that President Trump's doing related to health insurance and other things related to health care, and whether he's going to actually be able to do them. I don't know. He's getting me on a day where, though, I had to go to the pharmacy and pick something up. And I had called the day before to say, hey, I'm picking these things up on my way into work. You know, I want to make sure they're ready. And I get this question, well, there's a copay on this. Do you still want it? And I'm like, I told you yesterday I wanted them. And, of course, I do want them. But now I'm going to have to make a second trip to the pharmacy because they didn't have it ready because they weren't sure if I was going to pay the copay. And then I was also dealing with my father-in-law had an appointment for he gets an every 6 month shot in his knee because he's not a candidate for knee replacement surgery. He's 93 years old. And because it's a new year, I have to take him for a visit so they can assess the knee, even though he's been doing this for years. And then I got to take him back for another appointment to get the injection. So I'm not a happy person today about all of this, but I understand that that's the way the world is. We'll be back.
In North Georgia,
it's the topics that matter to me.
We're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
It's WDUN's Bill Main inviting you to join me September 28th as we journey to sunny Portugal with Colette and Peach State Bank and Trust. We'll explore Europe's old world charm, spending multiple nights in charming Porto and the amazing Algarve coast. We'll walk the cobblestone streets and cruise the scenic Douro River from the colorful capital of Lisbon to the stunning cliffs and whitewashed villages of the Algarve. We'll visit the breathtaking shoreline of the Portuguese Riviera and see ancient castles, groves of orange and almond trees. Plus, we'll visit the quaint villages of Lagos, Sintra, and Cascais. Then there's the famous wine, savory foods, and beautiful beaches. Plus, we'll visit a family-owned cork factory. Yeah. Colette covers all the details, flights, meals, hotels, all of that. We just need to have a good time. So don't miss out. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit WDUN.com for full details.
Let me show you the world. Come away with me.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Our family business has a legacy of honest, successful real estate brokerage. Buying or selling is an emotional and confusing process. We've been the trusted advocate for the best in home ownership. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, 9 people across North Georgia face RICO charges from a Hall County-based vehicle title fraud investigation. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here, isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. You have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the president is going through that process right now. And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point.
So that's Byron Daniels. He is running for, Byron Donalds. He is running for governor of Florida, but he also is a congressman. He was cross-examining Tim Walz, who's the governor of Minneapolis, the governor of Minnesota, and they're having a lot of issues there, and so we'll see what happens with all of that. But it will be interesting to see if they get to the bottom. And as I said earlier in the program, I am less concerned about whether we prosecute people in white-collar crime within the government than we change the systems that allowed it to happen so it doesn't happen again. I'm not saying people shouldn't have to pay for what they do. I can see y'all getting up in arms about that. I'm saying the more important thing is to stop the fact that money gets wasted every single day and get the processes in place. This is why I was such a big fan of DOJ, because what I think that the contribution of DOJ is going to be is not necessarily actual cuts in spending, which is everybody was up in arms about that. I think that was roughly about $42 billion. And I'm going by what the final numbers were at the end of the fiscal year last year. It was about $42 billion, which, let's face it, is a rounding error on the size of a budget that we have. Okay, so we need to be more responsible about that. But what it did do was it got rid of subscriptions and policies and processes that people were using to defraud the government in a legal way. And it'll be something that I think that will be a process that will help more. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number. And, we've gotten a few text messages in regarding what Joe McCutcheon said earlier in the program related to the market. And I think they've had a general consensus that he's not really making the point he wants to make because the market is elevated due to quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve. And then that got into some messages that y'all sent me about this Federal Reserve case that's going on that we're going to dig a little more into as we get into it. Everybody wants lower interest rates because we have this kind of unperfect storm where prices of homes are high and interest rates are high. But let's just tell the truth here. They are high, but they are not, at all-time highs. The first house I ever bought was in 1981. I paid 13.5% interest on that house. Okay, so it is not something that, this is not the highest it's ever been. It is higher, a lot higher than what people were used to. And my old boss, David Perdue, who's now the ambassador of to China, used to say that if actually interest rates go to 30-year averages, which is 5%, that we're going to deal with a big problem with the interest on the debt, which is exactly what happened. When interest rates jumped up, we got to the point where we had, interest on the debt went from $250 billion a year to over $1 trillion a year on just the interest on the debt. And this is why we've got to get our financial house in order. Okay, so we've got 3 tiers. You know how I love talking in threes. We've got 3 tiers to getting this financial house in order. 1, states have got to continue balancing their budgets, which they are required to do. Okay, but they also have to look at the flexibility of their budgets because they get roughly on top of whatever the Georgia budget is or the Florida budget or the Tennessee budget. You get roughly about that amount of money from the federal government that doesn't show up in your budget, but you still spend it every year. So if the federal government is going to be responsible, then they're going to send less money to the states. And so states need to be prepared for that. That's number 1. Number 2, we need to actually put everything that we are budgeting for on the table. Currently, right now, 3/4 of the budget is on automatic pilot, where we don't vote on it. We don't decide about it because you have certain parameters to get into a program like Medicare. So the Medicare budget goes up to cover whatever the number of people are that go on Medicare. And there's no control over that. And we need to look at that because the things that were put in, even in the revisions in Medicare in the 1990s, probably need to be looked at on a regular basis and adjusted. My mother was taken care of by Northeast Georgia Hospice, and we are donators to Northeast Georgia Hospice because they've taken care of my mother, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and we've had a lot of interaction with them, and they're the unsung heroes of the medical profession. But since Medicare has gotten involved, when my mom was on Northeast Georgia Hospice, Medicare was not that involved. Now they're really involved, and it is not. I'm not going to say it was a bad experience, but it was not as easy an experience with my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law as it was with my mother because of the changes that had been made because of Medicare being more involved. So we need to look at the things that work and not make them worse. And then we need to look at the things that don't work and fix them. So that's number 2, because the mandatory spending is 3/4 of our budget. We could zero out everything, including defense, and we still wouldn't have a balanced budget. And number 3, because I love to talk about things in threes, here's a solution, because I like to give solutions too. Go back to the 2019 budget. That was $4.5 trillion, which, by the way, was a $1 trillion deficit. So it wasn't a little budget. Adjusted for inflation, which would be roughly about 25% over this 6 years, that would bring you up to about $5.4, $5.67 trillion. We're at $7 trillion. Okay? So we know we're spending at least $1.5 trillion too much by the rate of inflation. Maybe even add a couple of $100 billion more in for defense because we need to be on the top of our game there. We would be within $200 billion of a balanced budget if we did that. That's the Rand Paul plan. I'm not usually a big Rand Paul fan because I think he's kind of like rigid about things. And, even though he's a physician, he doesn't, I'm not holding it against him. He's an eye doctor, but I don't think he understands how the whole medical profession works. But his idea about how to get this budget balanced is actually a really good one. Okay, we had a budget in 2019 that was $1 trillion over what we brought in. We have had huge increases in revenue with the tax cuts. I know that's counterintuitive, but our revenues have gone from about $3.8 trillion to $5.8 trillion in the last 6 years. So we've brought in more money. So we've got the money. We just spend too much. So those are the things that we need to work on. There are solutions out there if people want to do it. I ran for Congress a million years ago, and I was saying the same things then. I had this thing called the Map for Prosperity, and it was kind of the same things I talk about now. So we've still got the problems. They're there. Healthcare is one of the biggest parts because it is a fallacy that we don't spend a lot of money on healthcare. I mean, we spend probably, I don't know, half of our budget when you talk about Medicare, Medicaid, Indian healthcare, all the different ways we spend money on healthcare. We're spending plenty of money per capita on healthcare. It's what are we getting for it? So we're going to bring it back close to home on that first. We're going to talk to Matt Hanley from Northeast Georgia Health Systems. And then later on in the program, Lynn Barr is going to join us to talk about rural healthcare and whether what the president is planning to do is actually going to help anything. We'll be back.
Hey folks, Todd Starnes here. When it comes to keeping pests out of your home, Mark Turner at Select Pest Control has it figured out. As the name implies, you get to select whether you want their professional team to take care of those pesky pests, or if you'd rather do it yourself, visit their retail store on Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville. Since 1993, Mark and his great staff have offered professional service, products, and advice to North Georgia. Visit them online at selectpest.net, or better yet, stop by Select Pest Control today and tell them Todd sent you.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN-FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
The Supreme Court is about to consider transgender rights. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
So we hope that common sense prevails.
That's Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador, a Republican, hoping that justices uphold his state's law, telling Fox.
Common sense should allow women to be protected in their spaces and in sports.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff's outside the court, where 2 states will be heard in this morning's arguments over laws blocked by federal judges.
So the Idaho case, that is Little v. Hecox, it centers around the Equal Protection Clause. Interestingly, the transgender athlete that sued the state in order to play women's sports there has since sought to dismiss the case, but it will be heard alongside West Virginia v. PBJ, which zeroes in a bit more on Title IX in that a 15-year-old transgender student named Becky Pepper is challenging the state's ban on males participating in female sports.
I wish these people would educate themselves just so they would know that I'm just there to have a good time.
Minnesota is asking courts to stop ICE actions Democrats call illegal as protests rage on over last week's deadly immigration shooting.
With activists shooting fireworks at officers, blocking traffic and pounding on agents' cars. Taller barricades are going up around a federal building in Minneapolis. That as even more federal agents are en route to the Twin Cities, on top of the thousands already on the ground.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. As President Trump considers possible military action against Iran over its deadly protest crackdown, he just posted on Truth Social that Iranian patriots should keep protesting, adding help is on its way. A U.S.-based human rights group now says 2,000 people have been killed.
Overnight, thousands of people gathered in the streets of major cities once again, including the capital of Tehran. Further south in the city of Isfahan, Fox News was able to make contact with a man who is using Starlink. He described battles between protesters and security forces who are using live ammunition.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and 9 people across North Georgia facing RICO charges this week as authorities investigate a Hall County-based vehicle title fraud case. According to the Sheriff's Office, at least 3 local car dealerships would sell used vehicles at high prices to unlicensed people and send them to 46-year-old Brandy Pitts of Livonia and 61-year-old Susan Palencia of Homer. The 2 women working out of an office space in Gainesville would reportedly then illegally register these vehicles to LLCs they had created.
The 2 of them had been conducting this illegal activity since 2018, and over that 7-year period, they illegally obtained more than $1 million.
BJ Williams with the Sheriff's Office says that those names of those arrested can be found at Access WDUN. Now, Hall County Sheriff is back in office after a brief hiatus. Sheriff's Office confirming Monday, Sheriff Gerald Couch returned to the office late last month. He stepped away in early December, citing an undisclosed health issue. Officials say Deputy Chief Kevin Head managed day-to-day operations at the office during Couch's absence. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is asking for help in identifying 2 suspects in a shoplifting case. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office said in a social media post that the 2 female suspects are believed to be involved with the thefts that occurred on October 8th, 2025 at the Sunglass Hut store in Commerce. Anyone with information is asked to contact authorities. Photos of the suspects and contact information is on Access WDUN.
White County was battered with flood-like conditions Saturday, although no fatalities or serious injuries were reported. More details from WDUN's William Daughtry.
The county reports that between mid-morning and the afternoon, they received more than a dozen reports of flooding incidents. 5.62 inches of rainfall was recorded. On Asbestos Road, rising floodwaters trapped multiple people inside their campers. 1 individual was transported to the hospital with minor injuries in that incident. White County Public Safety reminds residents to never drive or walk through floodwaters. No fatalities or serious injuries were reported. Photos from some of the incidents can be found at Access WDUN.
And a new fitness center has opened its doors on Thompson Bridge Road in Gainesville, as Workout Anytime is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fit any schedule or routine. More details and more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
A very good Tuesday morning to you, North Georgia. We continue with mostly sunny skies. It is bright and beautiful. Low 60s for highs this afternoon. Clear skies this evening. Cloud cover increases tonight. Low 40s by early tomorrow morning. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Swanee, 41 degrees, and in Gainesville, 40 degrees. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Should you make your trust the beneficiary of your IRA? So many say you shouldn't, but we say you should. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and if you want your IRA to be protected for your surviving spouse, children, or family, then you should leave it to them at your death through a trust. For more information, go to my website, kevintharp.com.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we're going to spend this hour really talking about, I think, one of the most important issues that face us, and that is our health care and our health insurance and the things that happen. But we want to bring it local first. And joining me right now is Matt Hanley, who is the CEO of Northeast Georgia Health Systems. And we appreciate you so much being back with us. Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And good morning to you, Martha. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah,
so you've been here a few months now. You're going to stay, right?
I am. No, hey, listen, I think I'm around 10 months. And I remember being on this show the first time. But this is a phenomenal community. It has been a wonderful 10 months. We've had a lot of hard work to do, and I know we got more hard work, but this community has been so welcoming to me personally, but also my family, and we're blessed, so happy
and
to be
everybody's
here.
here now.
Everyone's here.
Yes,
yeah.
That's supposed to be here.
That's supposed to be here. Yeah, well said.
Because I know you got kids in college, you got all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep, we do.
Yep.
It's great, though.
So let's talk first about kind of local things.
Yep.
Flu is the big thing that's happening out there. We've opened up this huge new space, but I understand there's still bed problems. So, meaning as far as number of beds. So how's everything going?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is, it's a busy time of year, right? We are right in the middle of flu season, and I'm sure everyone's heard the headlines, the prevalence across the states well into the 30%, and we got, you're hearing about deaths and stuff like that. And so we're packed to the gills. We're packed in the ED. Our beds are full, and, obviously we're doing everything we can do in terms of mitigating the flow. But this is a very busy time of year.
So do you ever want to roll your sleeves up and get back in there since you were an ER doc?
Always. You never lose the itch. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's one of the great things, Matt, about having you in this position. I think one of the things that I think is missing in healthcare are enough healthcare professionals that are a part of the management teams, and that's no reflection on Carol Burrell. She did a fantastic job. I love Carol. She's one of my dearest friends. But I was so excited to hear that you had a physician background, because I think that's really important in what we're facing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think, as we've always talked, and we say it very humbly, I think that first and foremost, you have to have, this is a leadership role. So this is 100% leadership. If you happen to have the right leader who has a clinical background, I think then you get the best of both worlds, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So the other big news that's happening is Longstreet Clinic, of course, that's been around for a long time, but they're going to be coming under the wing of, or the umbrella, whatever term you want to use, of Northeast Georgia Health Systems. Tell us about that.
Yeah, part of the team, like we say, absolutely join the team. Yeah, I mean, we have a long history of partnership, and, you look over the years, we've grown closer and closer together, and so we're sort of at the point where we're looking at in February. We're going to consummate the relationship and bring them on board. And there's a ton of people doing work in the integrations and getting ready for the for February, and we're all really, really excited. And I think that what we look forward to is the fact that together we have more possibilities of continuing to build things like clinical programs that were harder to do before, and continue to provide care like we've been doing in the community. So it's really exciting.
So one of the things I've been working with you guys on personally is early detection of lung cancer. I've been working, I think 18 years with you all on that. I lost my mom and my dad and my sister to lung cancer that was not smoking related. And as a result of that, I was that person, that was working with Angie Caton and other people on your staff, just like, okay, we got to do more, we got to do more, we got to do more. And we are doing more now. We've got, a lot of early screening available. Also, Dr. Karen Gersh is just doing this amazing work with even more early detection. So I just want to personally say thank you, but also it's the right thing for this community that we have these resources available.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I love it, and I get very excited when we get to do this type of work. So yeah, we have Karen Gersh and April McDonald, so two phenomenal physicians who are working in this space. But what they were doing is, not every day do we get to do things where we meaningfully really, really move the ball and make a seismic change in terms of how we take care of people. So to your point, lung cancer, right? Two things about it that are really bad. One, most people get diagnosed at late stage, right? And so your options are low. And second, I think most people don't fully realize that a lot of the cases, depending who you talk to, 10 or sometimes in some parts of the country up to 20%, are not from smokers, right? And so what the heck? I did everything right in my life and I got stage 4 lung cancer. What's going on? The work that we're doing in terms of diagnosing lung nodules and doing work we call ion robotic bronchoscopy is we've been able to move almost about 25% of those stage 4 diagnoses to stage 1. So that is a meaningful, really significantly meaningful shift in when we diagnose. And if you diagnose you in stage 1, guess what? We have so many options and the outcomes are great. So this is really stuff that we should all be excited about.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. It's a fantastic thing. And we did, I alluded to the fact we opened up the new facility and that kind of thing, and we've got a lot of growth going on, not only in the tower, in the hospice house that's opening later this year, but also in Brazelton. So talk a little bit about growth right now.
Yeah, we are, as everyone knows, this is a growing region, right? Outside healthcare, people are coming here, they're working here for all the reasons that I think you've talked about. It's a great place to be. And we've actually, within the Green Tower, we opened the facility. It's hard to imagine it's going to be a year coming up next month, but we've actually accelerated the expansion of that because of, we've built the beds and we've opened up and people have come. And I would say the same thing down in Brazelton, where we're doubling the size of the ED. We're adding several hundred parking spots, more pharmacy, more kitchen, all the supporting infrastructure that you need, and also adding another close to 50 beds down there as we speak. So the place is booming, people are coming, and we're trying to stay ahead of it.
Now, do you see though more competition coming? Because you can't help but notice there's there's Northside presence with the diagnostic clinic. There's Northside presence down in Brazelton with different facilities. They want to come here. Come on, they want to come here.
Yeah.
So how do you approach the competition side of this, or do you think about that?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a great place to be to do healthcare. Let me just say, not only in Georgia, in the United States, and I've have the perspective of seeing a lot of places in the United States. This is just a good place to do healthcare, and so people are going to come. And so I think, the way I think about competition, first of all, I think about it all the time, but I think about it first from the perspective of what does the community need, right? The community always comes first. We exist for the community, and there's, full stop. That's the end of the conversation. So I think about it from that perspective. So as an example, would we necessarily put together a pediatric intensive care unit, right? I'd have to think really hard and fast about that because we had got CHOA 45 minutes down the road, and it makes sense for the community broadly to have an organization who that's all they do, right? And so stewardship of how we compete. So no, that would be a place where I'd say I'm not going to compete against them. Then I stand back and I say, okay, so what do we need to do for the community? And I think if we focus on one, care excellence in terms of what the community needs, right? And we focus on making sure we have an organization which is we call the best place to work, right? And then we're really, really good stewards of our resources. We will have no problem competing with the people who want to come in here because people are going to pick us, and that's part of our goal, right? To be preferred and indispensable. And I had an employer the other day ask me, he's like, why do you need to do all these things? You have market leverage. You're best in the market. And I'm like, because I don't want you to have to go to me. I want you to pick us because we're just the best. And if you do those things, you'll be successful.
I like that. Pick us because we're the best. I like that. Now, a lot of people like to say, oh, the big bad oil companies. But when you look at oil companies, they are in the middle of the pack as far as profit goes. You'll see where I'm going here in a minute. It's insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies that are way up there as far as profits. And I'm not anti-profit. I'm a capitalist, okay? I think companies making profit is a good thing. The president, though, was talking about bringing in big insurance companies and putting some pressure on them to bring premiums down. And I got to believe they can do that. They're making huge amounts of money. I know the goal is to make as much money as you can, but it also ought to be a goal to provide services that people can afford. And while health insurance is, I always say it's not a healthcare finance plan. We treat it like it's a healthcare finance plan. It should be health insurance, which is different. But where do you see that whole thing going? I know that's not in your world directly, but it's it's something you're going to have to deal with because you deal with insurance companies.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I thought you were going to ask me about the Fed chair. No, I mean, listen, affordability in healthcare has been a conversation. I feel like I've been in it for the last 25 years. I mean, and the bottom line is if total healthcare spend in the U.S. Was 15% of GDP, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. It's not. It's north of 20%, and it continues to go up. So for most people, it's the single biggest line item, or one of the biggest line items on their expense sheet. It's a fact. And so it's a big deal. And if you look at what President Trump and the White House has been doing, not just recently with pharma, but they have been pushing on the affordability conversation. So the one big beautiful bill, I would say specifically the Medicaid expansion, basically saying we can't afford this, right? And so there's been push on that. There's been the ACA subsidies. There's then the push against prior auth this summer, which didn't get a lot of press. And then pharma recently around the GLP-1s and getting better pricing for that. And the most recent conversation is insurance, right? And I think when I think about how do we address affordability, I think we got to address it on the macro level structurally. So pharma, going after the insurance companies in and of itself, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think I know you say they make a ton of money. Some of them make a ton of money, but if you look at the stat that I know, and again, check it because I'm not going to check my facts always. But when I look at the average margin for the Blues plan across the United States, it's only like 3%. So we're not going to get 50% out of their hide, and a lot of them didn't make money.
Right.
And you could say there's a lot of good reasons for that. But underpinning, where they're setting their premium, is the cost of hospitals, the cost of physicians, the cost of technology, the cost of pharmacy. Yeah, pharmacy, you got it, and so on and so forth. So I think we have to work structurally on the macro level, on the federal level. We have to work structurally on the state level, and then everyone in the healthcare space has to do their own responsibility in terms of driving the affordability agenda. And I think it's on three different levels, right? It's the business model, it's the payment model or the incentives that we're having, and then it's the care model.
Well, and it's funny because you mentioned pharmaceuticals because it's, my big problem with, I could defend them up until they started spending more money on advertising than they do on research and development. And I know I care for my father-in-law, who I know he gets on the phone about 3 times a day when he sees an ad on television and calls his doctor's office and wants an answer back, and that takes time away and resources from that doctor's office. But they're going to call him back because he's their patient.
Yeah.
And I finally said, Pop, you can't do that. You got your your son is a doctor. You can ask him those questions, but it's not good enough coming from him. It's just like your mom tells you something and then your kid's friend tells them the same thing and they think it's the smartest thing they ever heard, right?
Yeah, listen, I got the same thing. And, theoretically, I should be able to navigate all this with my parents, but I got the same thing going on. So
it's absolutely true.
It's
and
hard.
It's real world, right?
Real world.
The way offices are and what they have to do because they've got to manage this thing of having great customer service and being good to the people, but then also how the market's changing and how all these things are changing. And so it's an interesting time. I think it's just, I think with the work that y'all are doing is great. And I love what I see at the hospital right now. And, I'm a big fan in that, in the last 2 years, I think I've probably used every part of your hospital services for one reason or another. And, it's important. It's big. It's frustrating. It's all of those things, but I think y'all try to do the best job you can with what you've got. Now, I had a friend of mine say, ask him about the fact that I took my mom to the emergency room in Dahlonega, and it was easy to get through. But even with the new emergency here room, it's hard to get through.
Yeah. Thanks for the question.
I'm sorry, but it's just passed along.
Martha, I would be disappointed if you didn't ask me tough questions. No, that's what we're here for. Listen, healthcare is really hard. It's really messy. And
people are messy. You said that.
I said
right?
that people are messy, but we have the opportunity to continue to try to and aspire to do really good things for our community.
Right.
And so that's what we try to do. And I think listen, up at Dahlonega. I'm an emergency physician, so I'll weigh in on some expertise in this. Is smaller facilities that have lower acuity will always be more efficient than bigger level 1 trauma centers, 100%. And in the same breath, I'll tell you, having worked in a number of level 1 trauma centers, we'll never offer that as an excuse for not being efficient or offering high customer service. And listen, I'll also be the first to say we have work to do. It's a big focus of us on us right now in terms of the efficiency of the new facility and learning that new facility, and also continuing to work on the customer experience, not only in ED but frankly across the entire organization. So it's a really big focus, because I think when I think about patients, and I think about them a lot, as we talked about our parents, right? Like my parents are patients. It's funny when you talk to patients. About 95% of the time, what they'll tell you is about how they felt about the last experience. How did it make me feel, right? And that feeling, that general feeling, comes from two components. It comes from how did the human interaction, did I get treated with respect? Did they value? Did they hear me? And then the second comes from the service component, right? Did I wait in line a long time? Or it's kind of like if you're in an airline and you say that the attendant was really, really nice to me, and then I had to wait 3 hours because my flight got delayed and no one talked to me, right? So we're looking at both of those and thinking about those and doubling down on those.
Matt Hanley, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Martha, always.
I'll see you soon. We'll be back.
When you need news anytime, day or night, get it from the source that's been delivering local news digitally for a quarter of a century. Go with AccessWDUN.com and the Access WDUN app, powered by North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. More than 1 million people are now part of healthcare sharing because it just makes so much sense, especially right now. And Medishare is the gold standard. Members like it a lot. We know this from member surveys. Medishare has been around for over 30 years. It is a proven thing. And if you join before January 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save $100 right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is January 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Hall County Board of Education approves East Block resolutions for renewal if approved by voters in May. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and you know what? I'm sorry, Paul. I didn't get to ask him the question about United Healthcare, and I should have asked him about the update on that. I will get an answer from Sean and from Matt on that question for you before the show is over, Paul, so I apologize. We were just so involved in what we were talking about that I did not see this question. Now, it's always great to talk to Matt Hanley. He is the CEO of Northeast Georgia Health System, and we appreciate the work they do in this community. And look, he acknowledges you can't make everybody happy, but you want to try to make them as happy as possible. And to his point, you know, the interactions that patients have with people are really important, but also the wait times are too. And this is a time of year where you're going to have a lot of wait times. I don't know if y'all remember, but a year ago, last December, on the 21st of December, I was in the emergency room with my husband. He had flu A. And the ironic thing is that he always gets the flu shot because he's on staff at the medical center. But he had a allergic reaction to it in 24, so they had waived him from taking it in 25, or in maybe I was 1 year off there. And so he got the flu. He got flu A, and he got admitted to the hospital. And so, you know, it is a difficult thing, and human beings are messy, and not everybody's the same. It is called the practice of medicine for a reason. So while we go into the break, because we're about to go up to that, I will get an answer for you on United Healthcare. I should have gotten an update on that. It is confusing because if you have United Healthcare through Medicare and you go in through the emergency room, you can use it, but in other places you can't. But I can guarantee you, let me be clear about this. You will not be denied health care if you go and need to go to Northeast Georgia Health System. They do not want to see you when you are really sick. They want you to go before then. They'll take care of you anytime, but you need to go and get the care you need, even if you're not sure about your insurance. We'll be back.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company, providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday. Let's do this Monday. ZzzQuil Pure Z's. Just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. Both sides on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court this hour. This teenage girl says she's been involved in the battle for the last year.
February 6th, I was 15 years old with an 18-year-old man in my locker room, as well as going against my girls' basketball team.
Justices are listening to arguments in a pair of cases involving trans athletes.
For many young women, sports are more than just a good time. They feel male physical advantages undermine their hard work and existence. So with that, nearly 30 states have laws restricting girls' sports to biological females. An eventual ruling would impact those states and potentially non-sports issues like bathroom policies.
Fox's Alexander Hoff outside the High Court. The number of dead growing rapidly in Iran to over 2,000. People are standing up to the regime in the Islamic Republic. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and officials in Hall County say the sheriff has returned to the office this week. More from WDUN's Caleb Hutchins.
Sheriff Gerald Couch announced in early December that he was stepping away from the office due to an undisclosed health issue. This Monday, Sheriff's Office officials confirmed that Couch returned to work at the office in late December. No other details on Couch's absence have been released. Officials say Chief Deputy Kevin Head oversaw day-to-day operations at the office while Couch was out.
9 people from across North Georgia facing RICO charges as authorities investigate a Hall County-based vehicle title fraud case. According to the sheriff's office, at least 3 local used car dealerships would sell their vehicles at high prices to unlicensed people and then send them to 46-year-old Brandy Pitts of Livonia and 61-year-old Susan Palencia of Homer. The 2 women working out of an office in Gainesville would reportedly then illegally register the vehicles to LLCs that they had created.
The 2 of them had been conducting this illegal activity since 2018, and over that 7-year period, they illegally obtained more than $1 million.
That's B.J. Williams with the Sheriff's Office, and you can see the full list of those arrested, the dealerships involved, and more news by going online to Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
A very good Tuesday morning to you, North Georgia. We continue with mostly sunny skies. It is bright and beautiful. Low 60s for highs this afternoon. Clear skies this evening. Cloud cover increases tonight. Low 40s by early tomorrow morning. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Claremont, currently 45 degrees. In Swanee, 47. And in Gainesville, 46 degrees. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Matt Hayes here from Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Baldwin. Check out the new savings event here at Hayes. 2026 Chevy Trax for only $24,990. 2025 Chevy Suburbans for $11,000 off MSRP. Or best of all, a 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500, $10,000 off MSRP, including trades assistance rebate. Ask about our free lifetime powertrain warranty and come check out these deals and more at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Baldwin.
They say it's hard to find things that are built to last. That may be true for some things, but not for metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal. Metal roofing can last up to 50 years. Now that's quite an improvement from traditional asphalt shingles. But more than durable, metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal is also fire and impact resistant. Plus you get all the quality and durability for about the same cost as a shingled roof. Talk to Justin Odom at Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099 or log on to DawsonvilleMetal.com.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we got a question in after Matt Hanley, who's the CEO of Northeast Georgia Health Systems, was on with us in the last half hour about their United Healthcare situation. And NGHS will be out of network for 2026. No meaningful movement yet, but the lines of communication are open. But of course, you go through the emergency room, or if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, there might be a different situation. But if you're straight up United Healthcare, that is the situation, sadly. Okay, so Lynn Barr is joining me right now. She's got a master's in public health, and we're going to talk a little bit about rural healthcare because the president has made it a priority to help with some funding for rural healthcare areas. And we welcome you to the program, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good, Martha. How are you today? So nice of you to have me on the show.
Oh, thank you. And we're just trying to, we're trying to stay in the healthcare area because, people think we got to spend more. That's not the case. We're spending plenty of money on healthcare. It's just where we're spending it. And, rural healthcare is a big issue. So give us just an overview of what the president is doing and then if it's going to make a difference.
Well, thank you, Martha. And, I think that what the president is leading with here is really sort of two agendas. One of them is let's make America healthier because our chronic disease rates, our obesity rates are much higher than other developed nations. And our chronic disease rates are much higher. And our costs, as you said, are 3 times higher than the rest of the world. So instead of paying $5,000 a year for insurance, we pay $15,000 a year for insurance per person in the United States. So it's unaffordable the way it is. And what the president's trying to do is, let's all take responsibility for our health. Let's not just walk blindly through the fields, but let's really be involved in taking care of ourselves and engaging with our health and taking and following our doctor's orders. And that's really important. But the other side of it is what is wrong with the system and how can the system be fixed? And what the president is doing is investing $50 billion in the greatest experiment ever to see if we try to do things differently, like in the state of Georgia, which is really looking at going to a completely different kind of payment model. Can we get better outcomes? Can we get better access? And can we bring down the cost of care to reduce this ridiculous burden from every American?
Yeah, it is so interesting to look at this. I mean, you're going to think that, bear with me because you're going to think this doesn't make sense where I'm going with this, but I hope it will when I finish. So
I'm sure it will.
A year or so ago, Oprah had this special on the GLP-1s, right? And so she had to resign from Weight Watchers in order to be able to do it. And she came on and I don't know if you watched it, but in the whole thing, she didn't talk at all about the cost of GLP-1s, but she talked about GLP-1s. But one of the things that came out was that Ozempic, which is kind of the granddaddy of it, has been around for 20 years. And they've been using it for 20 years in different ways. And I thought to myself, the immediate thing that popped into my mind, because my husband's a primary care physician, we manage a nursing business together. So I'm not a healthcare professional, but I'm peripherally involved. Immediately I thought, 20 years, why isn't there a generic out there for this? If the number one problem we have in America is the fact we have obese, diabetic people, I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying, but almost all chronic health problems come from us being overweight and having diabetes, almost all of them. And yet there's been this drug around for 20 years that
they get a new patent if they create an auto injector.
Yes,
right? So
this is crazy.
If you put it in an injection pen, then they get another patent. There goes another 20 years. I know. It's ridiculous, right? And the costs are ridiculous. And remember, during the when it first came out, it was unavailable, right? There was a shortage, and then pharmacies could just make it. They could make the generic semaglutide in their pharmacies, and now they're like, okay, well, we can't allow that to keep happening. And I'm going, what is happening here? It could be a lot cheaper if we just let people, let the market work. But that's not the way the FDA works.
No. And so it's so crazy to me. And I know that's one thing, and it's personal to me because 5 years ago, about 5 and 7 years ago, I had my knees replaced, and I was extremely overweight. at that time. And, I'm kind of the poster child for my orthopedic surgeon because, I got my knees replaced and I got to where I could move again. And I also had an illness that I became pre-diabetic while I had this illness. And so I was just like, okay, I am not going to become a diabetic and I'm going to take better care of myself. And in the last 5 years, I have and I did use semaglutides as a part of this journey. And I'm in better shape than I've been. I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic. I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I mean, I'm like the poster child for if you take care of yourself. Yes, you might have to spend money on these drugs for a period of time, but you're going to get yourself to the point that you're not on drugs anymore and you're healthy. And so I'm
Martha, that's
So I'm nothing worse than a convert.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but you are making exactly the point. So in other developed nations, we always, as Americans, we're like, well, I can get my knees replaced today, right? I don't have to wait 6 months like they do in Canada to get their knees replaced. My knees hurt, I can get them replaced. What they don't know is in Canada, before they're going to replace your knees or before they're going to give you bypass surgery, they're going to put you on the semaglutide for 6 months. Because a lot of times if you can reduce the weight, the knees get better.
Yes.
And, and so it's like, let's treat the root cause. And we've never had a treatment that worked, and now we know a lot more about brain chemistry and say, well, it's not these people's fault. Why aren't we helping them? If we can help them to lose the weight that's causing their diabetes, their fatty liver disease, all of these horrible things that are happening to them and then are putting them in the hospital, we'll spend $10,000 to cut off their leg when they have diabetes, right? But we won't spend $10,000 to give them the semaglutide to prevent it. And that doesn't make any sense.
And then we have this situation, I think, with a lot of young people that I've met. And my daughter's dealing with this with a lot of, she doesn't have colon cancer, but she's got a lot of stomach issues. And she sees a gastroenterologist on a regular basis. She's 34. But friends of hers have been diagnosed in their 20s and early 30s with colon cancer. And I think it had a lot to do with what we were eating in the 90s. And I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not a person, and I cooked mostly, I didn't use a lot of processed food, but there were some processed foods that we had.
There was some biscuits in the kitchen.
Yeah, there was some toaster strudels. I'll admit to that. But it can't be. You look at these young people that are having these gastrointestinal problems that are much higher rates than what I'm in my 60s than what I had. You got to think that there was something in the food. So a lot of people are have the jury out on RFK. I get that you can look at RFK and you can look at him a lot of different ways. But what I've said to a bunch of my friends is if he can fix the food supply and get prescription drugs to where they make sense, then it's worth it. Whatever else he does,
God
it's worth
bless
it.
him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And let's focus on what's good here. And I just want to say, I'm a public health professional, right? I will fully say I believe in vaccines, and so does RFK. So if you read his written statement, he is for measles and polio vaccines. But he's got questions about other vaccines, and he's got questions about what we put in our food. And if we're not asking questions, this is how we make America healthy again. Ask questions. What is this chemical in my food? Why is our wheat in the United States different from everybody else? Why do we treat it with formaldehyde? What is going on out there? And ask questions, not just accept that because the food industry said it was okay, it's okay. And look at baby powder and Roundup and, asbestos and all of these things that everybody said, it's fine. And then we find out are major carcinogens. There's something happening that are making our children sick. And if we don't ask questions, we'll never find out what it is.
And
I don't understand what science doesn't allow us to ask questions.
Well, and I just had a niece of mine who had a surprise baby. They'd been married like 17 years, didn't think they could have kids. And before she turned 40, they had this beautiful baby on July 4th. And she had a little bit of battle she had to do with the hospital because there were 45 vaccines they wanted to give this newborn before she left the hospital. And it was like,
and every one of them is making money for a drug company.
Yeah, and
right?
She just said, my baby's immune system hasn't even been developed yet. Why would we do this? So she stood her ground.
We didn't used to do that.
Yeah, we didn't used to do it. She stood her ground, and she's taking great care of her kids. So all of this, I know we're talking about healthcare as a big topic, but rural healthcare, it continues to be an issue. We have 20 counties in Georgia that don't have a pediatrician. I'm on the State Board of Education, and so we are trying to make sure there are clinics in schools that are at least staffed by nurses so that there'll be some kind of primary care, in the counties that don't have it. So what do you see happening with rural healthcare?
Well, there's opportunity, but there's also so much work to be done, particularly in Georgia. And I was reading Georgia's application for their, by the way, Georgia got more than the national average award. I want to just put that out there and say, good job, Georgia. And that meant that, and the awards were not based on size or any, they were strictly based on merit of the application. So you got a crack team there, and what they're trying to do is really organize a lot more telemedicine, a lot more local care, keep the people local, keep the care local, engage the population in their health, and pay the providers to do that work. Instead of just paying them for sickness, pay them for health. And if they really pull off this big, bold vision they have, it will not only be transformative for Georgia, it'll be transformative for the rest of the country, because I believe Georgia's got one of the best models out there, and I'm really, really proud of what they did.
Well, it's exciting. So when do we start seeing some results on this, do you think?
Well, there's a push for results. So I think we'll start seeing some outcomes in 27. So it starts January 1, 26. It takes a long time to move a ship that size.
Right.
And so we've got to get everybody on board, got to get vendors, there's a lot of work that needs to be done behind the scenes so that when it's introduced to the patients and providers, it's a smooth and well thought out implementation. And so I would imagine that this will really gear up in a year, and that it should affect the lives of rural Georgians immediately with more access to local care. I'm really excited about that.
Absolutely. Lynn Barr, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Martha. You know so much about this. It was a real pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll take a break, and then we'll be back.
The news you need.
I think it's very important.
When you need it.
We need to know the truth.
Always here. Always local. We're North Georgia's News Talk. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
New year. Double the savings. It's the double rebates event at Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville. Ring in the new year with double rebates. You get twice the factory rebate on all new Hyundai Santa Fe and Palisade models. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance. That's more money back and more reason to buy before January ends. Rush to Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville, or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Buying or selling real estate. We do so much more than just open doors. Buying a home encompasses a 180-item checklist. I'll be glad to share it with you. Our commission is our success fee. You need Norton now more than ever. I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Have you been driving 25 in a 55-mile-per-hour zone? Are your passengers concerned about your vision? Don't let glare at night or in the rain slow you down. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK, clear lens exchange, specialty lenses with laser cataract surgery, as well as contacts and designer glasses. Our doctors handle a wide variety of vision problems for people of all ages and are skilled at providing fantastic solutions. Come see why we're voted best in Hall County year after year. Advanced Eye Center, vision correction for all ages.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people. But it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. More than 1 million people are now part of healthcare sharing because it just makes so much sense, especially right now. And MediShare is the gold standard. Members like it a lot. We know this from member surveys. MediShare has been around for over 30 years. It is a proven thing. And if you join before January 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save $100 right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is January 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, North Georgia Community Foundation announces a legacy gift of millions from a local couple to a dozen different organizations. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Smaller crowd. This is controlled. The scene spans several blocks. We are here at Portland Avenue and East 35th, but it goes at least 2 or 3 blocks.
Who are you? Who do you work
thank
for?
you.
Who do
Hold
you
on.
work
I'm
for?
sorry. We're with CNN. It's okay. Thank you for your help. I'm sorry. I think people are getting upset. So that is the latest here on the ground, guys, and I'm going to send it back to you.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that was, if you could watch the video, this person gets up in the face of this reporter, who you with, and she goes, "It's okay, we're CNN." I don't know what that means. It's okay, we're CNN, Logan? I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I've also just been a moment of just, it's unexpected.
She was getting stressed.
Oh, of course.
You
I mean,
could
like I
tell.
said, that's live. It's live. It's
Yeah.
a live news hit, and you don't expect anyone to come up to you. So, but no, once the woman heard, "Oh, hey, it's CNN," it's like, "Okay, bye, thank you."
Okay, bye.
Talk to you later.
Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah, it's a crazy time, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of things going on, and I guess we kind of miss the good old days where I know Roy was pointing out that the protests there were a lot of violent protests, and we just didn't see them. What we saw was the March on Washington. What we saw, which was a large, peaceful protest. And to me, that's what moves the needle a lot more than I think. Okay, you tell me if this is crazy, Logan. I think that if you give in after and maybe that's the wrong terminology, but you give in after a big violent protest, that's not changing things. That's just giving in to violence.
Yeah, just kind of in a way of, okay, there were violent acts, and we need to act on it in order to make the violence stop. But what you're saying is, if it's peaceful, then maybe that will, instead of just a instant reaction of we have to stop this, we have to change something. But if it's a peaceful protest, and then after might take a little bit longer, whoever it may be sits about it, thinks about it, and then they decide to make a change. Like I said, that could be beneficial more, long term.
Yeah, and you bring more people along with you in that way. And I think that one of the things, this is why I don't call January 6th an insurrection, I call it a riot. Because ultimately what happened is people rioted, they destroyed property, people were hurt, Ashley Babbitt was killed by her own actions, okay? I mean, I know a lot of people get mad about that, but she was climbing through a window she should not be climbing through. And she was not following the instructions of law enforcement. And even though it's a tragic loss, it's no different than the woman in Minnesota. She was not following the instructions of law enforcement, and she ended up dying for it. But the reason why it was a riot and not an insurrection is because later in that same day, the election was certified and the president was sworn in on time on January 20th. So it was not, a problem in that way. Okay? So I think it's important that we look at this. Now, Todd in Buford said health insurance cost to the consumer is marketed as an absolute need in life, and you just pay for it regardless of the return on investment. Where does the consumer to go to learn how to shop for what you need? Is an absolute consumer lose because of how government has injected into the premiums. Insurance companies and the services now take advantage of the government involvement and the majority of consumers do not get a fair exchange. Obamacare took the consumer's tiny advantage of choice away and handed their money directly to the insurance companies, which propped them up so the insurance companies could say, we don't need your choice. We got your money anyway, taxes and subsidies. Then there's the malpractice insurance premiums that are protected against loser pays. Insurance companies win again. Malpractice premiums, I don't know if that's protected because the premiums are paid by the doctors, okay? Like my husband has to renew his malpractice insurance every year, and because he works in a jail, boy, it's really hard to find anybody that will even insure him, which is crazy because you got to have a doctor in a jail, so they've got to have insurance. But the premiums do go up every year, I will tell you that. But I'm not sure if the malpractice stuff impacts I'd have to look into that. That's something I don't know as much about as I probably should. But you're right about the premiums, that if the insurance companies are going to get paid no matter what, then they don't have any incentive to bring the prices down. And that's what we have to have. We need to get back to some of the things we were doing before Medicare. I know there's very few of us still alive before Medicare, but there were some great things that were happening where people were covered and prices were low because the customer was still involved. And I think that you need to not look at it as much of a consumer product. I know that it is, but it is about your health care. And number one thing is do all the things you should be doing to stay healthy. Listen to your doctor. You know, my husband used to jokingly always say, still says it sometimes, if people quit smoking, drinking, and stopped eating too much, he would have nothing to do. You know, so very few things that come through a doctor's office are things like accidents and things like that. Most of the stuff is self-inflicted. Most of it is you eat too much, you have high blood pressure, you do all the things you do. I have several big healthcare red flags in my family. I've had 3 members of my family that have died from lung cancer. I've had 2 members of my family that have had aorta dissections. And so as a result of that, I am very proactive about my lung health and about my heart health. I'm very proactive about that. And even if it means, now I know everybody can't pay for everything, but it's a priority in my life that even if it means I have to pay for something that's not covered for insurance, that is the best thing for me to prevent one of those problems, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. Because in the short run, paying for preventative care is always cheaper than having to pay for the catastrophic care. So you got to look at it in those ways too. Anyway, great show today. We kept it local. Tomorrow we're going to be talking a little more about the legislative session, and we'll talk to you. Stay with us throughout the day on the Martha Zoller Show. We're always here.